Is Mina the Hollower a great game? Yes. Firstly, because of its gameplay. Secondly, because of its visuals. Thirdly, because it blends a simple adventure with a deep exploration. I played Mina for 40 hours and I finished it with a smile on my metallic face. Yeah. I had a wonderful time on this island with this inventor, this courageous little mouse. Could you enjoy this adventure also? Absolutely. It's not a frustrating game. It doesn't try to be a Souls game or Silksong, so it's cool. Rather, it tries to follow the steps of the old Zelda games, especially A Link to the Past, and above all, Link's Awakening on the Game Boy Color. Did you play these games in the 90s? Did you get lost in these realms? Well. In Mina, you will want to get lost in Tenebrous Island, helping this charismatic little mousey on her adventure. And in this video, I'm going to tell you about my experience with this title, which for me is my game of the year so far. I will talk about its story, its gameplay, its graphics, and its music. And why Mina is it my game of the year? Because besides reminding me of those magical moments playing with my Game Boy console in my childhood, it also reminded me that to enjoy video games, I don't need hyper-realistic graphics or the latest technology. I just need a simple, straightforward story, a charismatic protagonist, polished controls, and an exciting world to explore and discover its secrets. And Mina the Hollower, a game made by Yacht Club Games, has all of that. So let's start with the story. It's simple and straightforward, as I said, but with a touch of intrigue and suspense that I found interesting. Mina is an inventor, in the style of Nikola Tesla. She invented electric generators, which were used on the island called Tenebrous for the benefit of its inhabitants. But for some reason, the generators stopped working as intended, and therefore malfunctioning. They transformed many of the island's creatures into aggressive monsters. Ayayay. Mina is contacted by letter from the island's leader, Lionel, to help solve this problem. That's when Mina travels by sea to the island. I won't reveal anything to avoid spoilers, but the circumstances surrounding the island's problems are not what they seem, eh? Take care. So the game's story forces us to explore every corner of the island. Mina begins to learn about the lives of the inhabitants, and therefore the player starts to form conjectures about what is happening and who is responsible for the situation with the electric generators. And as I said, the story is simple, but it's enough for this game. For me, it is satisfying and offers a secondary incentive to complete the adventure. And what we can say about Mina, the protagonist? Well, Mina is a character I really liked. She's brave, courageous little mouse with strong values and principles, as solid as granite. The inhabitants of Essex, the main town on the island, have very funny stories. These residents aren't copies of each other. Of course, they are NPCs, but they are very assorted in their responses when you talk to them, so that gives the town its personality. One in particular caught my attention during the adventure. An island resident who acts as a clown or a jester. He tells jokes, some of which are funny, but they are old-fashioned jokes, like your grandpa or your grandma jokes, you know what I mean. And he scares you by appearing in the most inopportune places on the island. A very memorable secondary character. Take care, you have to be looking for him. The way in which the controls in Mina feel are so fluid, intuitive, and precise. It's an absolute delight. The game controls like Zelda: A Link to the Past and Zelda: Link's Awakening. It's an action RPG that won't disappoint the OGs who played those classics back in the day. In my adventure, I chose the whip with a mace as my main weapon for one particular reason. I could choose to attack at close range or from a distance. That's an advantage. But this game offers 3 other weapons. I only tried the hammer, and while it seemed more powerful, it wasn't, for me, comfortable. It also quite heavy, which makes combat more challenging. If anyone wants even more of a challenge, I recommend using the hammer. There you go. The platforming sections are frequent, but thanks to the polished controls, they are fun and not at all frustrating. They are also challenging in a fun way. Personally, I never had any trouble with the platforming. One of Mina's most unique and peculiar abilities is the power to burrow into the ground and move through it. The developers played with this aspect brilliantly. I use this ability for combat and also for platforming. It's fun to use, and for me, it's the ability that sets this game apart from others very similar. We can also enhance and add several more of Mina's abilities, thanks to the trinkets or knickknacks that the adventure offers. These range from one that helps you stay underground longer, to summoning a wisp to help you attack or even help you float in the air. There are many trinkets or knickknacks to choose from, allowing for an immense variety of ways to approach the adventure. Speaking of the bosses, they are phenomenal, man. Their designs are very imaginative, and their attack patterns are challenging without becoming tiresome due to their difficulty. Perhaps in the future the developers will incorporate a new game mode for fighting bosses in succession, like a rush boss mode. That will be cool, my friends. Although Mina's attacks with any weapon are limited in variety, I never found it monotonous or boring. Likewise, since there are 4 main weapons available, each one completely changes the gameplay, so there is your replayability of the game. And of course, since Mina is an action RPG, backtracking is present in the adventure. But in my experience, the adventure's pacing and level design don't make returning to certain parts of the island a tedious task, so it was okay. There's no set order for completing the adventure. The player can decide this on their own and repair the power generators however they like. This design encourages exploration, but I repeat, I do like to be given a hint about where to start or where to go, like a small clue, a subtle nudge, and then have complete autonomy. I say this not because I want something easy, no, but because I hate wasting time in video games. And in Mina, that nudge about what to do is necessary at certain points, in my humble opinion. The NPCs can offer a few clues, but they are very vague. So if you feel lost and don't know where to go, or if you are unsure whether you have chosen the right path, don't hesitate to look for a guide online. I had to at certain points in the adventure, and it helped me a lot. Yeah. And what about the graphics? Well, amigos, they are amazing. The visual aspect, along with the ability to burrow into the ground, makes Mina the Hollower special. The developers at Yacht Club Games decided to stick to the Game Boy Color inspiration. But it wasn't just a superficial aspect. It was a philosophy of this project from the very beginning. In fact, the developers created Mina while adhering to the limitations of the Game Boy hardware, which is why there are no 3D elements and the color palette is limited. But these limitations don't detract from Mina. In my opinion, this game is beautiful. A pixelated oasis with personality, a game with an old-fashioned charm. And the island has its own personality too, very much in the style of games like Bloodborne. Funny similarity. Its main city, Essex, has a very Gothic and Victorian design, like Prague in Czechia, and also a setting a la the movie The Island of Dr. Moreau. Tenebrous Island has different biomes, from a desert to a swamp, and even a snow-capped mountains section. My favorite part of the whole adventure was the bayou, a dangerous but fun swamp setting. Although the pixels are limited, the game is full of fascinating visual details. My favorite is when Mina gets too close to an edge. Her color darkens and she starts to sweat. It's so cute, and that visual aid prevents you from falling into a deadly abyss. The enemies have designs that match the biome, so they are very different from each other. They are very diverse in their designs and are quite adorable. What can I say? Overall, Mina the Hollower is a visual delight, a kaleidoscopic feast for the eyes. Oh yeah, baby! And if the graphics are pixelated beauties, the game OST couldn't be left behind. Melodies with that cheap tune effect, which, like the graphical limitations, lends a wonderful charm to the sound. Mina's music synergistically accompanies the adventure. It also adds even more layers of nostalgia to this title. So in conclusion, Mina the Hollower is spectacular. Do you hear me? Every aspect of it is of exceptional quality. It's clear it was made with passion, love, and a lot of hard work. The developers at Yacht Club Games have made their game a classic, not only in the indie game category, but for me, it's my game of the year 2026 so far. I finished the game after 40 hours, but that was due to exploring and collecting certain special items. It can be completed around 20 hours, so yeah, there you go. Mina has a rough start for new players. It's quite difficult in the start, but after increasing her health and attack power, the adventure flows smoothly, baby. Mina the Hollower not only transported me to Tenebrous Island, but also took me back to my childhood with its pixelated style, simple yet fun adventure, and 8-bit music. A modern classic, baby, a modern classic.
Hey, listen!